Bookclub no Kiseki. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
I'm Matt Jorgensen.
And the portion of Falcom's Kiseki series we'll be playing today is the second chapter of Kevin Game, Trails in the Sky the Third. It's our third episode, second chapter. But before we get started on all that, what's poppin'?
So my visual novel, Possum Boy, we had a major meeting about it today, and I'm going to start actually putting together scenes in Renpai.
Ooh, that'd be rad.
Our own Maddie Grace Webben taught me how to do the very, very, very basic coding that is required.
Nice. Yeah, I was playing around with Renpai the other day for our super secret project that we're working on. And it's very basic coding, which is great because I'm not only having to teach myself Renpai, I'm having to teach myself Lua to understand the porting process. So one of them being really easy is pretty fantastic.
Yeah. It's still a lot for me who is a Luddite, but I think I'm going to be able to do all right.
Yeah, I believe in you. So there's a mobile phone visual novel app called Episode, and Summer, who is a similar Luddite, taught herself Episode like super well. Like her episodes were really well made, and she did a lot of like quote unquote camera tricks by like making one be real small and to make it look like they're in the background and stuff like that. She took to it like white on rice. So I believe he will do the same thing and succeed.
Renpai looks easy enough for me to figure out.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? Is there a reason it's been like 2 months since Kevin Game number 2?
Yep. I have been swamped by work because the percentage of people who can open and close the store was decreased by a full fourth, and we're preparing to decrease it again.
Oh no.
It'll get back higher. We just need to actually find somebody we can hire to open a store. If you're looking, can you let me know? If you're in Wisconsin, I guess.
But who is?
Yep, just me and Sam. We're the only people that live here.
That's true.
Sam's actually the governor, and you're the attorney general.
Yeah.
I'm also the chief of agriculture and chief janitorial staff. Everything else is Sam.
Yeah, so not only does Matt have to open and close the one GameStop, he also has to make all of our world famous cheeses as the head of agriculture. So he's busy all the time.
Yeah. Yep. That's been my life for a while.
Yeah. Like good on FromSoft for having a hit that's way bigger than anyone anticipated, but not so good on your store for giving somebody vacation, because surely that game won't be so big.
Yeah, that was I cannot tell you. Okay, so my boss, she's been working video game retail maybe longer than I've been alive. I don't want to assume, but a very long time. And her boss has been doing it definitely longer than I've been alive. And nobody gets it. Everybody's like, the conversation every morning on the conference call is still like, everybody's still selling a lot of Elden Ring, right? Is that going to stop soon?
Yeah, I'm like I knew it was going to be like in the zeitgeist, because every FromSoft game has been. But I hang out with nerds. I did not expect this to be the like number one game of all time type numbers.
We're getting like sports ball guys and Call of Duty guys and like the one lady that likes to come in and talk about Pokemon. She's a real delight. Not going to give out her name because private information, but like all of them, all of our regulars that are like, hey, when's the new WWE? Screw that. I want Elden Ring.
Wild. Because like, no offense to Elden Ring, but it's a really bad name for a video game.
It is. It's a bad name for a video game.
Like there's no part of this equation should be best-selling game of 2022. And yet, here we are.
Yeah, it's what was some like 12 million copies?
Yeah, 12 million copies was reported recently.
That's nuts. Good,
Which is
for,
a lot.
good for FromSoft. Now they can make a sequel to Cookie and Cream, the only FromSoft game I've ever played.
They could make a new Kingsfield.
They could and probably are making a new one of their mech games, which is exciting. Just imagine.
They used to do Armored Core.
Armored Core.
Yeah, Armored Core.
Was it Armored Core?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine an Armored Core post Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be.
Don't hurt me like that, Sam. If I get my hopes up, I'll be stuck with this.
Yeah, Polygon recently put out an article about a video about Armored Core. I have not watched it, but apparently it's a good video.
It's a great video. I saw it. I'm like, I should play some fucking Armored Core. I probably am really bad at it, but it looks like it would be a fun game to be bad at.
Well, that's the cool part about Armored Core. No one's good at it. It's like Tetris. You just do a little better every time.
Yeah. I just finished like moments ago because I finished my notes early so we could get this done before recording instead of after recording. But me and Summer just finished episode 8 of Business Proposal. And let me tell you, it's probably the most enjoyable television I have ever watched. And I highly recommend it if you are okay with subtitles and you like silly, funny rom-com things. And it's very fantastic.
This is the Korean drama you mentioned, right?
Yes.
I'm not good with subtitles, so I'm going to learn Korean instead.
Yeah, me and Summer made that joke because there's a lot of good looking K dramas on Netflix. Netflix is really trying to expand in Korea right now, and I'm like, man, I want to watch so many of these, but like 1 out of 20 have subtitles, and the one that I really want to watch, the Arthdal Chronicles, because it's a high fantasy and I'm a nerd. That one does not have a dub to it. I think I said subtitles like 4 times, but I meant a dub. And so I can't watch it while working, which is my number one like binge time. And Summer's like, well, just learn Korean. And I'm like, you know what? I might as well.
How hard could it be?
Yeah.
Well, Rebecca and I watched a couple of the Mr. Sunshine. I made Rebecca watch that one because I'm a huge history nerd. That was really weird.
I have not heard of that one.
So it's the gist of it is it's right before this, just after the second Russo-Japan War, when Japan invades Korea, like 1800s-ish. It's not great. But what's interesting is there's English-speaking characters who are, half the show is sometimes in English because it's one of the main characters talking with his boss, who's an American. Or the next episode, it'll switch to Korean, and like they had the first episode and a half dubbed, but it was not the same guy talking for his own voice
Oh wow.
when it was in Korean or Chinese. So it was very weird.
That's wild. But yeah, to sell you on business proposal real quick, Matt. So the story is Hari has a rich friend, Youngso, and Youngso's parents try to hook her up on a blind date with this guy named Taemu. And Youngso is tired of, like, doesn't want an arranged marriage. She wants to fall in love for love. So she pays Hari to go on the blind date pretending to be her to like wreck it. Unfortunately, Taemu has his whole life planned out for him. So the chaos that Hari tries to cause to ruin the date endears him to her. And so he falls in love with this fake Youngso, and he realizes that she's fake. So he then hires her to be his fake girlfriend to get his grandpa off his case. And they continually fall in love even more off of that. And it just keeps expanding. And tonight's episode was the long awaited, let's just realize that we're actually in love with the real versions of each other and not these fake ones. And it made me happy on the inside.
Just feed that to me with a shovel, because I'm all in.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's like presentation feels like an Edgar Wright movie style heightened, but through the lens of a K-drama. So it's like if Edgar Wright made a movie, but then got the Looney Tunes people to do the sound effects, because that's what K-dramas always do. So it's a lot of penny whistles and weirdness, and it's just bonkers, and I love it so freaking much. Highly, highly, highly recommended. I also, in the same vein, finally got around to starting Crazy Ex-Girlfriend today, and it's also very, very good. I thought you were
segueing into the game, saying you also highly recommend Trails in the Sky the Third, but no.
I do. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend's good, but like everyone I feel who hasn't watched it yet, or who has wanted to watch it, has watched it, except for me. It's a musical comedy on the CW. It's really good. It's in a Aline Brosh McKenna joint, and she's great. She wrote Devil Wears Prada, so it's awesome. But you know what's also good? Legend of Heroes: Trails in the Sky the Third. So without much further ado,
good segue.
Thank you. Let's listen to some Kevin music and talk about some Kevin plot. As you may or may not remember, last time we fought the person who was not Lei Wei and found out that his name is Schwartzritter, and we learned that we're in some place called the Phantasma, and Schwartzritter is doing the bidding of some quote lord, and we have Julia in our party now, so we have the very weird but super cool party of Kevin, Reese, Tita, and Julia. This week's chapter starts with a flashback. Apparently, when Reese and Kevin met, Kevin was like poor, destitute, and hungry on the street, and Reese's sister, Rufina, brought him back from the brink with some chocolate that she like mama birded into his mouth. It was fucking weird.
It was weird.
Is that what? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think she chewed it up and spit it in him. I think she was like holding it in her mouth and then shoved it in his mouth.
But still, it's weird. It doesn't seem like pedo weird, even though Kevin calls her a pedo, because they all seem like they're the same age.
Yeah, I think she's probably like 2 or 3 years older than him, which is still, nothing makes it not a weird thing to do.
Yes. the age gap was not the weirdest part here. But so the flashback was apparently Kevin lost in thought. He comes back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity, and the group goes over the info that they just learned, which I summarized a paragraph ago, not knowing they would talk about it again here. Swart Schroeder apparently had mentioned Reese having a sister last week, which I don't remember, but the characters do. Julia asks about Rufina. Apparently, she was also a Grosritter, like Kevin and Reese are, but she died about 5 years ago. She was always doing super top secret work, so she might have met Swartzritter back in the day, but Kevin and Reese have never heard of him before. They conclude that they won't learn anything based off conjecture alone, so it's back off to the Jade Corridor for us. We get to the end of the corridor and a portal awaits us. Blue skidoo, so we can too, through the portal, and we end up in Gransel. The party's like, wow, what a short game. We escaped the death labyrinth. It's over. Roll credits, guys. And Reese is like, does the main gate normally look like a giant magic-y orby steampunk bullshit door? And they're like, oh, no, I guess not. There's also not usually demons on the streets. Fuck. So
at this point, I'm like, oh, this is a fake Gransel and Phantasma. But all the characters seem really convinced this is real Gransel, but fucked up.
Yeah, because not only is it obvious that this is like the dungeon's version of Gransel, the chapter title thing comes up and is called The Otherworldly Capital. So if you didn't pick it up, the game basically tells you. So it's weird that for the next like 3 hours of game, none of the characters, it even crosses their mind that they're in an alternate version of Gransel. It's weird. Julia is like, what the fuck is happening to the city? I gotta go check on the castle. So we all go with her to figure it out. There's a boss blocking the way, and we kill it. It's not very hard. When it's dead, the barrier to East Gransel, I think, disappears.
I think it's West Gransel, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. To one of the side places disappears, but the barrier behind the boss is a big old signaturgy rune. Reese says that it's magic, and we got to save it until we figure out what else is happening. We can't open it yet, so we venture elsewhere in the city. Everywhere is similarly blocked by symbology, so we eventually make our way to the Erebonian embassy, where we are ambushed by more big boy skeletons. These are harder to dispatch. However, because I got my ass kicked in a particular way, I cheesed this fight and just held down the speed button and the accept button and did something else for a while. On like turn 2, they killed all of my people in a like protective barrier 2 squares away from Kevin. So the monsters couldn't get close enough to attack me because they're giant. So they couldn't just walk around. So they couldn't actually reach me. And Kevin has a ranged weapon. So he just stayed back in his little force field of corpses and popped off a pop shot for like 20 minutes of holding the speed button down. How was it if you didn't cheese it?
Hard, but manageable. All my memory of how hard these things that I played earlier today are sort of wiped away by my memory of how hard the final boss of this chapter was.
Aha. So we will get back to that one. When we finally kill all those spooky, scary skeletons, we get a glowing party member cube, so we teleport back to base to open it up. When we do, it opens one of the doors back in Gransel, and inside the box is Mueller. So we get a full-on B-team this game, and I'm very here for it.
Except Mueller is now A-team, because turns out he is fucking strong in battle.
He's real good. He's real good. I I'm now torn at the end of this the chapter who to pick in my party, because you have two required people, but then I have to pick between Julia and Mueller and the other one. We'll get there in a second.
Yes, who we also love.
Who we also love. And it's like, well, what do we fucking do? I don't fucking know. So we catch Mueller up on the situation, and he agrees to help us because he was with Olivier moments ago, and he doesn't trust Olivier to not die before he gets back, so he must hurry. Reese is like, all these people that we're finding know each other, so there's something up with why they're being brought here, because she, being a new character, doesn't know that this is a sequel to 2 other games, so of course they're going to reuse the assets. Now that we mean,
someone could just point out that there's like a couple dozen people in this entire continent.
Yeah.
But so they're bound to know each other.
She moved here and increased the population by 10%.
Now that we have Julia and Mueller in our party, we can go through the first star door and get a scene with them. But I'm going to save the star and moon door, the sun, star, and moon doors for their own section each week. I talked with Jimmy from the Discord, and he said that all of them are basically just mem moms. Some of them are not important at all, but some of them are like lengthy. And if you take them completely out of what we played for the week, there's not a whole lot of main plot going on. So the interesting ones I'll go into in their own section, and I'll sum up the ones that aren't interesting. So we'll get to that later. Back in the main plot, the cube awakens a new power, not the party member cube, our big Rubik's Cube MacGuffin doohickey. And the new power is remote abilities. So we can pick one party member to be our support member from afar, and they have some drawback that gives us some sort of buff. Right now I put Tita in it, but in a second I'm going to put Josette in it because hers is great, and I'll tell you about it when we get there.
We were being cagey about Josette, not about who Josette was going to be.
I was being cagey about the other party member, but we're about to get to Josette, so it's okay.
I forgot about this immediately after it told me about it.
When I tell you about Josette's, you'll probably be like, oh shit, let me go and put her into support, and then forget about it. So cool. We make our way back to Gransel and the new part that opens up, and we find the Bobcat. That's the Sky Bandit's ship. Spoilers, we're about to get a Sky Bandit on our team. So it's, of course, locked, and we have to find another way to get inside. So we go to the warehouse where the tank was kept during the tank trouble sequence last game, and there are more spooky ghosties who give us the key when we beat them. So back at the Bobcat, nothing inside works, just like in the R-Seal, but there is another party member cube, so we take it back to the base, and we unlock, of course, Josette, who is awesome. This game has such a cool party. And I was a little let down that Joshua, again, I'm just opening all these cages that I took so long to set up. So I was kind of upset that Joshua was the next party member. Like, I felt we could have hit Zen first. We could have hit a couple more.
I actually liked it because I felt like it was a nice mix of being like Julia, Mueller, Josette, these characters that you barely even met, barely ever got to play with. And then Joshua, who was one of the main characters for the first game and is like major character in the second game. It's like an interesting mix of A team and B team.
That's true.
Mechanically,
go ahead.
I was going to say, mechanically, I actually found it comforting to get Joshua. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Because, like, you got a whole bunch of new characters. I'm like, I don't know how any of you do the thing. Okay, Joshua, I can work with you, and I can use you to figure out the rest. We got this.
So we get Josette caught up to speed eventually, because after we espouse all the exposition to her, she doesn't believe us still. But eventually she does agree to come with us so that she can get back to her brothers. So my pro tip is that Josette sucks in battle, but for the measly cost of minus 5% defense, you get a plus 30% to item and Sepith drop rates, which is
wow.
bonkers good. Put her in your support and use Joshua and Mueller, because that's a fucking badass, especially because Sepith is weird, and in both games so far I've gotten to a point where I have 0 Sepith and I don't know how to fix it. It would be great to avoid that for 30% of the time. So we head back to Gransel, and it's now nighttime, and there are tons more ghosties to fight. So you take Josette over to the Bobcat, and she confirms that it's dead in the water. But the arena has been opened, so we can go explore that now. We make our way onto the field, and there are waves and waves of spooky skeletons to fight. The last one is a big ol' centaur robot skeleton samurai thing. And it's kind of hard. I had a real tough trouble with it on easy.
It is kind of hard.
It apparently is. I think it's this one. It might be one of the other ones. I don't remember. One of the bosses is real hard this week. But as I was writing my notes off the Let's Play, they were like, "Oh, it's like stupid weak to Mirage, so you can just like soul blur every turn and take it down in like 2 turns." Which is interesting. But once it's dead, it spawns a party member crystal. So, of course, we take it back to base and open it. Inside is Joshua. We catch him up to speed, and he is much more receptive to the whole deal than the rest have been. He's like, "Oh, yeah, that totally makes sense." They're like, we're trapped in a big maze. That's fine. He and Estelle were in Crossspell because they apparently were able to download the English patches before they were taken down. And they were together and both absorbed by the light at the same time. But Estelle, notably, is not here, just Joshua. But since he and Estelle were in Crossspell and Mueller was in Parm, which is just across the water from Liberal, everyone was really, really close to Liberal, but not really close together themselves. So if something was causing this, like an artifact or something, it would have to be one as big and strong as the Areola. It could even potentially be the Areola, because post last game, they're not exactly sure what all happened there. But we currently have no answers, just a whole lot of questions. So we decide to keep it trucking.
My erstwhile enjoyment of Awful Squad makes me not able to handle the fact that there's a city called Parm.
I am unfamiliar with Awful Squad.
I'm not going to explain it.
Cool. So, now that we have Joshua, the castle door itself has opened, so we can go inside. But inside there are no people, just spooky ghosties. So we make our way up to the roof, and we hear a human's voice. We rush to see who it is because we've seen no human so far. But of course, it's just fucking Gilbert. Who else could it be? He's being attacked by spooky ghosties, so we kill them to save him reluctantly.
And they're so fucking easy. He could have taken them, honestly. Even him alone could have taken them.
Yeah. So after we save him, we ask him how he came here. And he said that he was caught in the same glow that we were, but he was dumped in Gransel instead of at the library at our base camp. We ask him if Ouroboros is behind all of this, and he's like, "No, I would totally know." And Joshua's like, "Yeah, you probably would have no idea." But when we're all done with him, we don't like tie him up. We don't like lock him in the brig. We don't take him with us to keep our eye on him. We were like, he's just fucking Gilbert. Let him go. What's he gonna fucking do? He couldn't even kill these goddamn ghosts.
I was worried for a second he was going to join the party.
That would be bad. That would be bad news. I don't want Gilbert in the party. I don't even want Gilbert to be on my party selection screen because he would never come with me.
It would be hilarious if they made him a party member, but intentionally made him really, really, really bad, completely worthless.
He's level 1. Just
Yes.
everyone else is level 100 right now. Just make him level 1.
And like instead of missing, he trips and deals damage to himself.
And that'd be great. But so we continue our way all the way to the top of the castle, and we see a ghost, but this one is different and kind of familiar feeling. It's probably the hot voice. Y'all don't have voice acting, so you don't know it's a hot voice, but two of the voices that have been talking to us, one of them is obviously Yu-Gi-Oh! That we'll meet in a second, and the other one is a hot girl voice. So this is obviously hot girl voice. But she thanks us for coming all the way up here and gives us a key to the treasury before she disappears. We're like, that's weird, but thanks, I guess. So
this is a memorable moment, but I want to make sure I don't forget it. Okay. So this does look like a ghost, and they're like, what was that? Was that a ghost? And Joshua says, it wasn't an ordinary ghost, at least. And I'm like, Joshua, what is an ordinary ghost? Can you tell me about that?
Who knows? Maybe he just meant ghosts like all the ones we've been punching, but
those are just fiends.
So we go to the treasury, which, as you remember from the first game, is where the elevator down to the Areola dungeon is. But something weird is going on. When Kevin and Julia sealed the place, because that's Kevin's day job, they cleared out all of Richard's construction equipment and locked the place down for no one to ever go in there again. But now that we're in there, everything is all back, looking at the exact same way it did during the coup, because they didn't want to make an extra environment. They wanted to reuse it from the first game.
And I gotta say, I think they must have sealed it pretty damn good, because rather than thinking someone got in here and put a bunch of stuff in here again, they think maybe we've gone back in time. So that must have been a pretty fucking good seal for them to have that much faith in it.
It probably was one of the magic-y church seals that you can't even tell, like, the door is there anymore type thing. Mm-hmm. As we learned about at the beginning of this game. I'm figuring, but who knows? So yeah, they asked if we went back in time. Sense. What was that, Matt?
I was just gonna say that would make sense.
Yeah,
since Kevin's there.
Yeah, since he was the one that locked it. Yeah. So we decided to go down through the elevator, but thankfully, whoever it is that has trapped us in this nightmare dimension also hated this dungeon. So because instead of having to do it, the elevator just takes us down to the bottom level. We don't have to do the big ass dungeon anymore. I was very worried we were going to have to, but thank Christ. So when we get down to the very bottom, Kevin and Reese spell the devil just like they did before, and then the C-list Yu-Gi-Oh villain from the pre-prologue shows up. He says that he is the Lord of Phantasma, the one that Schwartzritter talked about before. He admits what has been obvious from the beginning of this chapter, that we're in a replica Grand Soul and not the real thing.
And Josh was like, "Oh, I totally knew that all along." Yeah.
I don't know if
you guys didn't know that. Come on.
I don't know if Joshua is being cool or did know it. Either one is on brand for Joshua, so it's fine. Julia's like, "Oh, thank Idios that Chloe is safe. Like, I was super worried about her, but if this is a fake Grand Soul, then everything is fine." And Lord of Phantasma is like, "Did I say she was safe?" And he pulls out from his pocket another party member stone, and he's like, "But before I can give it to you, you have another trial to do." And this boss is really cool looking and really awesome. Reese says that he's Rostrum the Savage, one of the 77 devils, and we fight it. And by we, I mean Bernard and Matt, because I didn't finish in time, and I wrote the rest of these notes based off of the Let's Play. But apparently, it's really fucking hard. Why is it so hard, Bernard?
Because he hits you really hard and he has lots of little buddies, and even if you kill the little buddies, he's constantly summoning more. And he keeps hitting you really hard. And I fought him once, and I got pretty far. I actually did a good bit of damage to him, but I die. And so instead of retrying, I actually reloaded my save because I had accidentally ran past one of those magical shop slabs and hadn't stopped at it to buy anything. I didn't notice until I was on the screen transition because I was holding the speed up button. So instead of retrying, I went back to the title screen, went to that slab to see if I could get any new equipment and fight it regular style without the retry easiness. However, it did not have any new equipment, so I just walked in and tried to fight it again. It killed me like fucking instantly. It totally owned me. That second time, I don't know what I did wrong, but I lost. So I clicked retry, and on a single retry, I managed to beat it.
Good.
The retry buffed my party members just enough to where they could take out the guy's little buddies in one hit instead of two, and that made it a whole lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
It took me like 4 or 5 tries to 4 or 5 retry buffs to finally get to that point. Admittedly, I was not. I thought, well, it was like 2 a.m. when I was playing it because spoilers. I never sleep. It's for the weak. But somehow I got into my head that like, oh, if I kill his buddies, he's just gonna do a super attack and respawn them. So I'm gonna try and like hurt the buddies and him. So I was just doing the worst plan possible.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
You gotta kill the buddies. You can't keep up with them, but eventually, if you don't kill them, there will be a ton. And so basically, I had Joshua and Reese casting magic on the big bad guy, and then I had Julia attacking the buddies, and I had Kevin healing everyone. And often people would have to stop and heal themselves with items or something because it was hard. But yeah, that's basically how I got through it.
Nice. I will report back next week on how balls hard it was and how I'm on easy and will still retry like 35 times so that I kill him in one hit because that's what I'll have to do. We'll see.
I really enjoy this battle system, so usually if I lose a boss fight, I want to try it again at the same difficulty, so I'll exit to title menu if I saved. But this one was hard.
Yeah. I'm so glad that these games have the retry buff. The evolution version actually breaks it out in the menu, so you can hit retry to just try it again, or you have retry at a lower difficulty to get the buffs.
I would love that. That would be so convenient.
Yeah,
because sometimes I want to retry without the buffs.
Yeah, I pray in my heart of hearts that a 4K 60 version of the 3 games bundled together is on the horizon for PS5, and if it had all the things the Evolution version added, it would be fantastic, because that's just the best version of that. Is be instead of having to choose it globally, which you guys have to, like go into the launcher and turn it off. Instead of having to do that, if you could just like, oh no, I almost beat him, I want to try again and like win for me, instead of, oh, this guy completely wiped the floor with me, I am not prepared, I do not want to go grind, let's do like 6 retries and just get through it type thing.
Yeah, this boss completely wiped the floor with me, and it's 9:25 because I didn't plan out my day well, and we were supposed to record at 9:30. I'm gonna hit retry.
Yeah, Absolutely. So after the fight, the Lord of Phantasma tosses us the party member stone. Kevin asks him what his whole deal is, and he says that he's just a shadow cast by, quote, something within your numbers. And a CG quickly flashes on screen of Kevin being held or protected or something by someone who looks like Rufina, who looks like she's been stabbed in the back with a giant chakram. But it pops up really fast, and I only know what it looks like because I was reading the Let's Play for my notes, and I had a still screenshot. But it pops up like 3 frames.
Yeah, I barely caught it. I just saw that it was someone holding Kevin.
Mm-hmm. Kevin says that he's spouting nonsense, and he shoots him a bunch. But it was just one of those empty shell things that we fought a whole bunch, and not the Lord of Phantasma himself. As he disappears, he opens the next portal for us, but we decide to head back to base to open the party member cube first. It's probably Chloe. And as we leave, the chapter ends. So let's listen to a real quick ditty of some sort. And then let's talk about the different doors we could go through this week. Okay, 2 of the doors don't matter. The first one that doesn't really matter is Josette's sun door. She gets sun door number 1, but it's all of the good part is just a short and sweet scene of her apologizing to Don, her eldest brother, for fucking their life up. But the main reason it's there is a turret minigame where you get to shoot Gilbert with a machine gun, and that's worth the price of admission alone. Because who doesn't want to shoot Gilbert with a machine gun? But plot-wise, that's all that happens, is she gets closure with her brothers.
Yeah, it's a nice scene. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I did it. But nothing important really happens.
Yeah, we're skipping over Star Door 1 because that's the good one. Star Door 2 is not as... has more interesting things than Josette's Sun Door, but not nearly as much as Star Door number 1. So to open Star Door 2, you need to get 100 battles to unlock it, which is like trivially easy at this point of the game. I think when I walked by it the first time, I had 78. By the time I got Joshua, I had like 99. So basically,
I didn't have enough when I first got to it, and then didn't think to go back and check later.
Well,
so
now you won't need to, unless you want the mirror.
Will.
Unless you want the gold. Gold is really hard to get in this game.
I do want the gold.
It's real hard to get
the gold.
So the whole party gets to go into this one, and all it is a text document. It's a report on the salt pail, which is a pillar of salt so tall that it could kiss the clouds in the state of Northumbria, which we haven't really heard about yet, but it becomes important in Cold Steel 3, apparently. A whole lot of characters in Cold Steel 3 are from Northumbria. But the salt pail
series.
The salt pail just fucking showed up one day, and it was such a massive giant pillar of salt that as the wind blew, it broke off salt pieces and snowed salt all around the thing in the entire Northumbrian region, and all that salt like absorbed all of the water and choked out all of the life in the area. Like the place basically became like a sea of salt.
Sounds bad.
So
eventually,
internet.
Yes. Eventually, it lost enough salt that people were able to go and investigate, and it turns out that whatever it is, artifact or whatever, it turns what touches it into salt. So not only was all of the salt around it blowing off, but like things that would be picked up by the wind then became salt to make it worse. And it just was this huge ass crisis that in the end completely resulted in the state's dissolution. And it was replaced with a democracy. The church stepped in to like protect people, and it's become like a super restricted zone. And the country was so destitute that their armed forces basically dissolved, and the peace was only kept by vigilante corps, which eventually became the Jaegers. The church's official position is not that the salt pail is an artifact, but rather more of a fundamental manifestation of the goddess's powers of creation, direct quote. So, of course, they turned it into a weapon, because who doesn't? And this is the weapon that Kevin used to kill Weissman at the end of last game.
Oh, Weissman did look like he turned into salt.
He did. So the good one this week is Star Door number 1. So this one, you need Julia and Mueller both in your party to go and open it. But about 2 months after the end of the last game, Julia finishes up all of her reports and debriefing and stuff about what had happened at the end of the second game. And the queen thanks her, and she's like, you know what? You've earned it. Take the rest of the day off. And Julia, hilariously, has no idea what to do with her free time at all. She ends up accidentally working like 2 or 3 times, and before she's like, you know what? I have to take the day off. I got to go out for a stroll. Unfortunately, Grancel is filled with lesbians who are in love with Julia, and they're trying to just get a glimpse of her to see her. So she tries to leave out of the front, can't, turns around and stays in the castle. Apparently, it doesn't say this, but I'm guessing it was Dorothy because it's her vibe. The Liberal News did one of those like Time magazines you can buy at the checkout counter that are like the Julia Schwartz issue type thing. Did a huge special on her.
I'm pretty sure Dorothy mentioned she was going to do something. Dorothy and Niall mentioned they were going to do something like that in one of the previous games.
Maybe they
wanted to.
But yeah, all of the lesbians in the country bought it, and they're now super obsessed with her. So Julia tags along with the Archbishop in her Sister Ellen disguise from the first game and makes her way out of the city.
So my question is, did the Archbishop happen to have this nun get up on him? I
feel Julia probably
does Julia keep it at the castle?
I feel she probably keeps it at the castle for like undercover stuff.
I guess that makes sense.
So as they make their way out of the city, Julia runs into Mueller, who is in Grancel wrapping up some loose ends, and he helps her. He helps Julia dodge her incredibly ravenously lesbian fan base, and they find a quiet place to talk. She lets on that she has real bad imposter syndrome because she wasn't a party member during the first 2 games. So she feels like she let Chloe down and she wasn't actually doing all of the things everyone else did. And now she's getting all this attention and promotions and stuff and being considered one of the heroes when she really didn't do anything. But Mueller's like, is that the only thing bothering you? And she goes, actually, it's like I'm really, really close to Chloe. I've always been protective of her. And if I get a promotion and all of this attention on me, I'll get even busier. And I already feel bad for not being able to be there for her for the past 2 games. Now, like, I won't be able to be there for her at all. And I won't be there as much as she wants me to be. And she says, Mueller, I'm jealous of you. You get to be with Olivier all the time. And he's like, fucking take him. I fucking hate this guy. I fucking hate Olivier so fucking much. It's just my job. Like, my whole family is the Imperial bodyguard. So from birth, I've had to protect Olivier. It's fucking stupid. You can have him. I don't fucking want him. And it's hilarious. So he's like, you know what? You just need to blow off some steam. Let's go have a duel. And he is a very hard but optional boss. You don't get any better loot or anything for beating him. You just can go and have fun. but he's
Falcom just really loves putting in forced loss battles that you can technically win.
yeah, basically. The only way the Let's Play said the only way you can really win is just to heal, and then if you get lucky where you get 2 turns in a row, you take a pot shot at him to get enough craft points to do your S craft. Do that forever, and that's all you get to do to win. It is pretty boring.
That's what I was
cheesy.
trying, and it didn't work because he was too strong.
Yeah. So now that she has a clear head, she decides that she's going to support Chloe by accepting all of her promotions. Supporting doesn't have to mean doting on her hand and foot like it has in the past. It can just be doing everything in her power to make sure that Chloe is well equipped to be a good ruler. Mueller returns to the embassy, and Julia returns to the castle and runs into Chloe. Conveniently, for storytelling's sake, Chloe remembers to thank Julia for always supporting her and being a good role model and a parental stand-in after she lost her parents. Julia promises to always support Chloe, and even if she can't physically be there, and Chloe thanks her. So she gets to spend her day off having tea and just laughing with Chloe like a sister. It's real cute.
I like Julia.
I really like Julia. So yeah, at this point of the game, I have to decide between Mueller, whose lore I don't care about, but he's great in battle, and Julia and Joshua, whose lore I really care about, and they're also good in battle. It's like they're not as good as Mueller is, but I like their lore better. Is that enough to not have this trucky truck in my party? Who knows?
I can't wait until we get Olivier's party member crystal and they unseal it, and Mueller's immediately like, fucking damn it.
God damn it.
Put it back.
He like picks up the pieces of the cube off the floor, tries to shove them back in it.
Get in the crystal.
So, yeah, let's listen to another little ditty and talk about our memorable moments. All right, I've been talking long enough. What do you guys got?
I like Josette's hat.
It's a good hat.
She's wearing a little visor that says Capua on it, because now the Capuas have a small business where they deliver stuff for people, because the queen pardoned them and they're going straight.
Mm-hmm. It's good. I love the hat. There's also I'll find it and share it, but the Let's Play data mined the PC game to get all their sprites to use for like talking heads for the Let's Play, and they found an unused sprite of Josette in her visor doing the Goku like pulling down one eyelid and sticking your tongue out face, which is just
So
fantastic. Yeah, love Josette still to this day. What about you, Matt? Do you have any?
Not related to the game itself, but after I played the chunker, I was describing it. I was telling Rebecca about it the next day, and she was like, "That sounds like a game you told me about once." And it was a very comical situation where for 3 days we were trying to figure out what it was. So I would be like on one side of the house, and she would shout, "Was it this?" I'd be like, "I don't think so." Finally, we decided it was Silent Hill.
Basically the same game.
That's amazing. So I have a couple 3 of which are all treasure chest related. So,
Wait, you have a couple, 3 of which are treasure chest related? The math is not working out here.
I have a Texas couple, as in a small number. I have a few couple.
I see.
So, one of the chests says, Sky the Third was delayed 5 years so that we could come up with more treasure chest phrases, which I thought was a great treasure chest phrase. Another one says, this is a nice chest. This is also a haiku. Chest, 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 chest.
I read that chest and I thought, oh, Sam's going to have that in memorable moments.
Yes, I did. And also, you know how it's insane how many chests are in these games and how many and how the empty messages are all unique. So there's a whole lot of text dedicated to chests that the average person won't ever read. In this game, the chests update like all the NPCs did in the prior games. So if you go and recheck your empty chests that you've already checked, you will get a new new message after the plot updates. So this game is ridiculous.
I don't believe you.
It's I can prove it with things from the Let's Play. It's ridiculous. So there are probably triple the messages that we originally thought there were in this game. But this game still is
too much.
This game still has the lowest amount of writing out of every Trails game. So it's not super insane, but it's still very, 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 very insane.
They had like an entire 10-book series worth of text in this game, and they were like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
The other games were like 20 books.
So speaking of there being a lot of books in these games and a lot of story to get through, apparently it's not enough. So 10 games and counting with more text than the rest of all text combined is not enough. So there's a manga that was released along with this game that is talking about Joshua and Estelle's adventures in Crossbell that they allude to in this chapter. We're not going to get it during gameplay on what they did. There's a manga for that, which is...
I think there's an anime too.
Yeah.
I think the anime
is an adaptation of the second game, I think.
Yeah, I know there's an anime that's an adaptation of the second game. And I watched a clip from it. I like brought up an episode on YouTube or something and scrubbed around, and it freaked me out because they kept calling Joshua Josh.
Yeah, I
don't like that.
Every time in my notes I write Josh, I say Joshua on the podcast. Josh is just there because it's fewer numbers. His name is Joshua. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Bernard, did you have any more?
No.
Cool. So that'll do it for the week. This series is a timed exclusive for our Ko-Fi supporters. So if you're hearing this in the podcast feed, come on over to www.rpgbook.club, where there will be a few extra episodes waiting for you when you donate. For Book Club No Kiseki, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And I promise it won't be this long again because of me.
Adios, amigos.
Nice short episode. These episodes are short.
Yeah, it's the shortest game, and even with all of the optional stuff, I talked about every single one of the side quests this week. It still was a really short game.
Did you notice that at one point in this, you can go down to the library and read all of Carnelia.
Yep.
I was tempted, but I was like, no, I planned my day really poorly. I gotta do this.